Hey everybody, this is Jennifer, and today I'm going to show you how to make a single bead ring, and I hope you enjoy, and leave me some comments down in the bottom and subscribe, and I will look forward to hearing from you soon, and enjoy the tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to make a very basic single bead ring, and these are rings that are really good for anybody of any level of expertise. And I've sold a lot of these rings. They seem to be very popular, but the bead that I'm going to be using is this little heart bead, and it's metal, and it's kind of an antique copper color. It has a Celtic knot in the middle, and I think I got these at Michael's several years ago. The wire I'm going to be using is 20 gauge antique copper parawire, and this is going to be used for the band. And then to hold the bead on, I'm going to be using antique copper parawire in 24 gauge. And I used to do these with like 26 or 28 gauge, and I found that, and for my personal self, that they would end up breaking at some point. So I switched up to 24 gauge, and I haven't had that problem. So I'm going to start out with taking my parawire, and I'm going to straighten more than what I need. So I'm going to straighten a nice length of it. And I'm making a size 8 ring. And I'm going to cut a nice length of parawire. Always like to have more wire than what I need, or what I think I need. And you want to cut with your cutters, you want to always cut with the flat side against your wire, because that way you get a nice flat cut. So I'm going to start on this side where I know it's cut flat. Otherwise you get like a really pointy, sharp, jagged kind of, there you can see that point. That's what you get if you cut with the other side. So when I trim this side up, I'm going to cut it with the flat side down. So I'm going to take this wire and the tip of my pliers, and I'm just going to rotate it around until it meets up with the wire, like that. And then to make it straightened out, I'm just going to put a little backwards bend in it, and I'm going to make sure that's completely flush with the wire. And that straightens it out. So now I'm going to take my ring mandrel, and since the person wants a size 8 ring, I'm going to go a little bit smaller than that because I want to have room to work harden my piece. And I'm just going to press this down against my ring mandrel the best that I can, get it as flat as I can against it. And so I'm going to about a 7.5. And I want to leave just a little bit of room in there for the bead, but I don't want to leave too much room. So I'm going to cut it right there. And you can see how much, like where it'll overlap right now at the 7.5 pretty much. So once I do the twist in the wire, it'll take some of that length off. So I'm going to go in the opposite direction for turning this time. And I'm just going to grasp it in the same place that I did on my pliers. And I'm just going to keep rotating around until it meets flush with the wire. And then I'm just going to do a little backwards bend. And then if that came, since that came loose a little bit, I'm just going to twist it back in. So now I want to put this back on my ring mandrel. And this is a very heavy ring mandrel. It's stainless steel. And the numbers you can see in person, it's just hard to see on the camera. But I'm going to go to that 7.5, and it looks like it's going to be perfect for putting that bead in by the time, especially by the time I get to the 8. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my 24 gauge wire, and I'm just going to straighten out some of it. And I'm going to cut a piece of it. And you don't need a whole lot for this. I'm going to open my ring band up a little bit. And I'm just going to put the wire in like that. And then I'm going to wrap this around and make sure I get 3 good wraps. And I'm going to use my Xuron bent nose pliers for this, just because I think it's easier to pull the wire around with those. But you could use the regular needle nose pliers too. And I want to make sure I'm keeping all my wraps nice and tight and close. So I'm going to go ahead and scrunch them together like that. And I'm going to pull this wire so it's up there nice and tight. And that's 2 wraps. And I'm going to do 1 more wrap. I'm going to pull it around. And then I'm going to go underneath. I'm going to go ahead and scrunch this up there. And then I'll pull this through like that. And then I'm going to trim over here. And this little piece of wire is sticking up. So what I need to do now is I need to press it down and make sure it's flat, not scratchy. You want to make sure it's smooth, but you want to make sure it's nice and flat because you don't want it to scratch anybody or catch on their clothing. So you just want to work with it until it feels smooth. And that may just be a little bit of, and sometimes you can rotate it a little bit. Sometimes you just might need to just press it down. And I'm just going to make sure this is nice and pressed down. And I'll run my finger over it, slightly scratchy. So I'm just going to gently press on that end. Now it feels smooth. So now what I need to do is I need to add my bead. And this bead sits sideways. And then I'm just going to feed this through this other loop like that. And I'm going to pull it together tight. And I'm going to wrap my wire around. I'm just going to push it through. And now I'm going to pull it and do it with my pliers because I get a tighter wrap that way. But you can use your finger to help you push it through, but then you want to pull with your wire, with your pliers. Or like with the bent nose pliers, they're really good to reach through. So I want to make sure I have 3 full wraps. I'll pull it through one more time. And that gives me 3 full wraps. And so I'm going to cut it in the same place like I did the other side, right there. And I'm going to just press this end that's up. Well, first it's kind of pressed down, so I'm going to press it and raise it up. And I'm going to scrunch these wires together, make sure they're sitting nice and flat. And so now I'm going to take this piece right here. I'm just going to rotate slightly. And I'm going to press down on that one little piece of wire. And if it moves, just press it back into place. And you just want to make sure it's smooth. So now I'm going to put my ring back on my ring mandrel and see where it's sitting. And it's sitting almost at an 8. So now what I'm going to do is I have this jewelry safe mallet that I got with another ring mandrel set. In that other ring mandrel set, I also got the little rings that you can size people with. So that I found that set to be really good, but this is good for not marring your wire. And it has kind of a harder plastic side and a hard rubber side. So now I have where I need to get this ring down about 1/4 of a size. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just gently tap everywhere except on the wraps. And this does work harden your ring and make your band a little bit more sturdy. And since I'm not getting the hardness or the spread that I want on the ring, I'm just going to hit it with the other side, which is a little bit harder. I'm going to hold it into place. And I'm going to come back around, I'm going to check my size, and it's gone down some. And now I'm going to kind of gently do like this at an angle. And it's almost to an 8. And so now I'm going to take my rubber side again. And I'm just moving it around with my hand gently, keeping it flat on the ring mandrel. And then I'm at a size 8, and this makes a little, almost like a little fidget ring, because you could sit there, take it off, and spin it. But this is my finished ring. This is what it looks like on. This just gives it a nice, simple look. It's a very simple type ring to make, and they're very easy to make, and they're a good ring to start out with when you're first learning how to make rings. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, please leave a like. That helps my channel out a lot, and it also lets me know you're enjoying my content. And also comment in the bottom and let me know what you're working on, and if you have any requests for future videos, I would really love to try to make something that would help you learn more. I'm here to help. And if you have any questions, I can try to answer any questions that you have. And I have a lot of future jewelry videos planned that I'm really excited about. And I've had a lot of requests on Facebook. So I hope you enjoyed. Please check out the description, and remember that all the materials that I use will be listed there. And all the tools that I use in general are also listed down in the description, so you can find those easily. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.